शारदे पाहि मां शङ्कर रक्ष मां 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 शारदे पाहि
ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। शारदा शारदाम्बोजवदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिः सन्निधिं क्रियात्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अज्ञानां जाह्नवीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुखदं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये। विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखरभारतीं सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। So welcome to the lecture series on Nyaya Shastra and Dharma Sastra. So I invite Dr. Jambunathan to start the Dharma Sastra series first, and then I will follow later. Thank you.
Namaskaram to everybody. Thank you for joining us. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnam Shashivarnam Sadarbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayachara Vignopashantihe Vakradunda Mahakaya Koduchiri Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaresh Sarvada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraham Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Jnanananda Mayam Devam Nirmala Spatika Kritim Adaram Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrimupasmake Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Gurum Paramparam Shruti Smrti Purananam Aleham Karunalem Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Harigi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So we will continue with our Manusmriti, third chapter. Srinivasanji, you have the slides, Srinivasanji? So we finished up to 43rd sloka. I'll just go with the 43rd sloka in the third chapter, and then we'll continue with our rest of the slokas as we move along. The 43rd sloka in the Manusmriti, third chapter is Panigrahana Samskaraha Savarna Supadishyate Asavarna Swayam Nyeyo Vidirudvaha Karmani. So what it was telling is Panigrahanam, the handing of the girl's hand to the boy during marriage, along with offering the water is what is recommended for the most of the varnas, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So that is what it is, and then that is the general rule which is to be recommended. It's basically Panigrahanam means we have the Mangalya Dharanam, Panigrahanam, Saptashati, the different steps of marriage. Offering the girl's hand to the boy is called the Panigrahanam event, and that is what is recommended for most of the varnas. So that is where we stopped last week. So we'll continue this slokas. So I just want to give you, the little bit of the heads up on this 20 or 22 slokas. Our Dharma Shastras go into the nits and bolts of all the aspects of life. If once you start dwelling into them, and in this particular 20 slokas, because Manu is now talking about he finished Brahmacharya ashrama, then from Brahmacharya to Grahastha, he shows how to select the girl for marriage. And then he also described the different types of marriage, the 8 types of marriage, the Brahma, the Daiva, the Prajapatya, Arsha, Gandharva, Rakshasa, Asura, and Paishashcha marriage. And he told what are the benefits. The first 4 marriage, which is Brahma, Daiva, Prajapatya, and Arsha, are the ones which will beget good progeny, who will be religious and follow the Vedic dharmas. The Gandharva, Rakshasa, Asura, and Paishashcha marriages will beget progenies, Andrutavadinaha, who always want to tell lies or bad things and not following the Vedic rituals. So he told what is the benefit of doing marriage one way, whereas the marriage doing the other way. And now the marriage has happened, and he's going to give a first only 1 or 2 slokas on marriage. The details of the marriage is not actually found in Manusmriti, like the different steps involved in the marriage. He just tells what are the different types of marriage and just a broad outline. But there are other smritis and the Apastamba Kalpa Sutras, everything, they describe the different steps of marriage in details. The reason I want to give the heads up is it also talks about sexual life in this. Then that's why there will be like 3 or 4 slokas where Manu says what should be avoided, what days, and all those things. And it is again the Dharma Shastras, as we believe the whole world is governed by the Dharma Shastras, and so including that not only how to marry, how to conduct your marital life also is being governed. So there'll be few slokas on that, but then again we'll go back to the other components of the grahasthas of life. So with that, I go to this 44th sloka. Sharaha Satriya Grahya Pratodo Vaishyakanyaya Vasanasya Dasagrahya Sudryot Krishta Vedane. Saraha Kshatriyaya Grahya Pratodo Vaishyakanyaya Vasanasya Dasagrahya Sudryot Krishta Vedane. So he says Savarna means the same Varna. A Brahmin girl getting married to a Brahmin boy, a Kshatriya girl get married to a Kshatriya boy. Those are all called Savarnam, the same Varnas. And there Panigrahanam is recommended, which is directly giving the hand of the girl for the boy to hold directly the hand. Now he is telling, for example, if a Kshatriya girl marries a Brahmin boy, or a Vaishya girl marries a Brahmin or a Kshatriya, which is the caste which is a little bit higher than them, in at least in terms of the Vedic thing, not in terms of other things, and then if a Shudra girl gets married, now he is giving how do you do Panigrahanam, which is directly offering the hand, or do you do something else? So what he says is Sharaha Kshatriya Grahya, which means for Kshatriyas fighting, the bow and arrow are important. So if a Kshatriya girl is getting married to a Brahmin boy, the Brahmin boy should actually hold an arrow, the bow and the arrow. The arrow is the main weapon. The Kshatriyas used to use the olden days. Now we use guns and other things, but in the olden days, the bow and arrow used to be one of the main weapons. So the boy has to hold the arrow, and the girl has to hold the tip of the arrow on the other end. So that is how the marriage is. Instead of direct Panigrahanam, the boy holds the arrow and the girl, Kshatriya girl, holds the tip of the arrow. Pratodo Vaishyakanyaya means if the Vaishya girl gets married to a Brahmin or a Kshatriya, the boy has to hold a whip. Remember, the Vaishyas are the ones who take care of agriculture and they trade with the cows. So they always have a whip and things like that. So the boy should hold that, and the girl should hold the tip of that, is recommended. And for the Shudra, if a Shudra girl marries the other caste, the vastram, whatever the boy has, the upper, the vastram, the tip of the vastram the girl should hold. So Panigrahanam directly is not recommended, which is giving the hand in hand. The holding the arrow or holding the whip or holding the tip of the cloth is the appropriate way of doing a marriage ceremony when there is a cross marriage between different varnas. So that's what is recommended. Let's go to the next sloka. Rutukala bigamishyat Rutukalabigyam shat swadara nirastattada parvavarjam vrajai chainam tat prado ratikamyaya. Rutukalabighamishyat swadhara niratastada parvavarjam vrajai chainam tat prado ratikamyaya. So he now talks about the girl and the boy, entering into the sexual part of the life, and he says, Sodasha Smritaha. Shodasha means 16 days, 16 nights. I said Ratriya means Shodasha Smrita, because very clearly, even the Prashnopanishad, which is part of the Atharva Veda, forbids sex during morning time. It says people who have sex in morning time have problems. They say that is completely forbidden. Ratriya, Shodasha Ratriya is 16 nights is what is recommended. Out of the 16 nights, it says Chatur Biritarai Shardam, which means there are 4 of them should be taken out. The first 16 days of the menstrual cycle, the first 4 days are considered actually the menses period itself. That 4 should be excluded. Excluding those 4 days, the first 16 days is the appropriate time for the husband and wife to meet. That's what it says. Rutu Swabhavika Rutukala Bigamishyat Swadara. The word is again very important. Swadara Nirata Sada. Swadara means the man should only be with his wife and nobody else. Swadara, Dara is wife, Dara, and so Swadara means only with his wife and nobody else. So it again emphasizes the the sanctity there, that there should be no adultery and other things. So Swadara is only with the wife. It is recommended. Parva Varjam means, and the days have to be excluded. Oh, yeah. Parva Varjam that there are the 4. What are the 4 days will tell, but except for those days which are excluded, the first 16 days is considered appropriate. Let's go to the next one. I think I confused the first and the fourth thing. I think let's go to the first 45th sloka is can you go to that one more time? The 44th one, Sriniji. No, 45th. Sorry. So Rutukala Bigamishyat Swadara Nirata Sada Parvavarjam Rajay Chainam Tadvrado Ratikamya. So it says the appropriate time should be chosen only with the own wife. There are days which has to be excluded. That's what is said in the 45th sloka. It doesn't Parvavarjam Rajay Chainam means some of those days should be excluded. That's what it broadly says. The next sloka says that Rutu Swabhaik Vikas Trinam Ratre Shodasa Smritaha Chaturbir Tarai Shardam Mahobi Sad Vigar Hitaihi. So this sloka says, the first sloka only says certain days have to be excluded. This is the sloka which specifically says the first 16 days. Out of the first 16 days, 4 days have to be excluded. Rutu Swabhavika Strinam Ratriya Shodasa Smritaha Chaturbiri Tarai Shardam Mahobi Sad Vigar Hitaihi. Let's go to the next one. Tasam Adyashu Chatasrashtu Ninditer Ekadasi Chaya Trayodasi Cha Sheshashtu Prashashta Dasaratriyaha. Now it goes even more, it makes it a little bit more stricter. Tasam Adyas Chatasrashtu Ninditer Ekadasi Chaya Trayodasi Cha Sheshashtu Prashashta Dasaratriyaha. So it says the first 4 days, Adyas Chata means the first 4 days, and also Nindita means excluded should be Ekadasi and Trayodasi days. So 16 days, 4 days, the Ekadasi day and the Trayodasi day goes Dasharatriya. Only the 10 days are considered appropriate for the marital things to happen. That's what the 47th sloka says. Because in our Hindu culture, we believe only if things happen according to Dharma Sastra, you will get the right output, whether it is even for the homa. If you do a yajna, there is a step for doing how to do a yajna, how to do a puja. So it tells the time, how to do, and what is the time you should choose, what is the muhurta you should choose for every puja or yajna, and what are the steps involved. Only if you follow the appropriate steps, you will get the appropriate results. And that's exactly what it is the whole idea is of the marital life is to get good progeny, the next like the good boy or girl for the future, and then only if you follow these rules, you will be having kids with good qualities. And that is very well known in the story of, if you read the Bhagavatam story, the Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha story is very famous. You know, Kashyapa Maharishi is both the father of Devas and Asuras. Kashyapa Maharishi is married to Aditi, and Kashyapa and Aditi gives rise to all the Devas. Kashyapa and Diti give rise to all the Danavas, which is all the Asuras. And Diti specifically forces Kashyapa to have intercourse during Pradosha time, in the evening time. Kashyapa says it's not, but his wife pesters him, and that's how the story goes. And when Diti conceives, she gets the worst. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, we know the story how they were tormenting demons, how they tormented the whole three worlds, and Kashyapa even wants his wife. So basically, that is what is the reason. Is we can ask why these rules are there, why these regulations are there. The regulations, if you follow the regulations, your output will be good. If you don't follow the regulations, you will be in trouble. And the example we tell about the Dharma Sastra is traffic light. You go, there is red light, green light, orange light. If the red light is stop, you have to stop the car. If you say, I won't stop the car and drive in the red light, you will have two problems. One, somebody from the other side will hit you. Number two, the police only, even if you get hit, the police will only fine you or arrest you because you violated the traffic light. So, same thing. Dharma Shastras are like traffic light. They will tell you this where you have to stop, this is what you have to do. If you ignore the traffic light signals, you face the consequence. That's kind of what I can say in a simple term. You can argue with all these, but would you argue with the traffic light? If the traffic light says red, you're not going to argue, you're going to stop. If the traffic light says green, you're going to go. You don't argue those red and green light and all. Why should I stop on red light? If you don't stop on red light, you face the consequence. Same thing for Dharma Shastra. It says like traffic light. If it says no, there is a reason. It is the creation, how it is destined. You don't follow the rule, you face the consequence. And I gave you one example of the Diti and Kashyapa. You can read the slokas are there in Bhagavatam. The birth of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, how Kashyapa refuses Diti and Diti forces him, and the consequence happens. So, thus now the Tasma Adya Chatashrastu Nindite Ekadasi Cha Trayodisi Sheshastu Prashashta Dasharatriyaha. Sloka number 48. Yugmasu putra jayante striyo ayugmasu ratrishu tasmad yugmashu putrarti samvished artave striyam. So that is the sloka here. Yugmashu putra jayante striyo ayugmasu ratrishu tasmad yugmashu putrarti samvished artave striyam. And here Manu goes, because Manu is he is the one who is in charge of the entire Manvantra. He knows the creation, and he is telling Yugma, Ayugma, two words are coming. Yugma means even days. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Ayugma means uneven days or odd days. 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. So, he first already gave you 16 days. And the first 16 days, 4 days already he said the menses day should not be appropriate. And then he tells the Ekadasi and Trayodasi should be taken off. So, 10 days. And then he says, among this, if the mating happens during the even days, boy will be born. And if it happens during the uneven days or the odd days, girl will be born. But then there is again another qualification which will come. So does it guarantee that only if they may have intercourse during the even days, boy will be born, or uneven days, girl will be born? There is some caveats there too, but he will explain that in the next sloka. But this is a general rule he is telling. So those for putra, he says, yugmasu, even days. Let's go to the next sloka. I'm not going to dwell too much into this because this is just some basic points. And then comes Pumam Pumso Adike Shukre Stri Bhavet Adike Striyaha Shame Apuman Pum Striyau Vashine Alpache Viparyayaha. He talks about the embryology. He goes into the details of all the conceptions, and if you remember, people who are in medicine and you read the reproductive physiology, how that happens. Puman Pumso Adike Shukre Stri Bhavet Adike Striyaha Same Apuman Pum Striyau Vashine Alpech Viparyayaha. He says when the male component, which is the sperm, shukre is the sperm, if the sperm component dominates, male is born. So even if it is even days or uneven days, that also counts. And if the female component, the ova part is there, the female is born. But the here is, we should just take it this if the male component of the whatever the physiology is more, the male is born. And that is what we say in medicine. If you get the XX chromosome joining, you get the female. If the XY chromosome joins, you get the male. So we tell that if the male sperm has the X chromosome and it meets with the female chromosome X and X join, you get the female. And if the Y chromosome sperm joins with the X chromosome ova, you get the female. So you get the male. X and Y is male, XX is female. So basically, we have to take that in same analogy. So he says if that if the XY component is more, the Y component of the sperm is more, then the boy is born. If the X component of the sperm is more, the girl is born. So that's how we have to take it in terms of physiology. And they say Same Apuman. He says sometimes we have these people who are born, we see this more transgender, and we call that we call them they're neither male neither female. So they are kind of in between. They say in some kind of matings, the Apuman is born means is kind of neither male nor female. And Pumstriyo means male and female twins are also born sometimes, depending upon if there is equal match. Then he says there is a twin born combining both boy and girl. Shine, if there is neither the male component is good or the male female component is good, there is no birth at all. So he gives all these physiology in one sentence there. If the male component is more, male is born. Female component is more, female is born. If they are equal, then you get either a twin or you get a hermaphrodite, or if it is less, you get none. He puts all in one sloka there. Let's go to sloka number 50. Nindyaschvashtashu chanyashu striyo ratrishu varjayan brahmacharyev bhavati yatra tat ashrame vasan. Nindyasvashtashu chanyashu striyo ratrishu varjayan brahmacharyev bhavati yatra tat ashrame vasan. So he says, we read about this in brahmachari ashrama also. It is equivalent to that in grahastha ashrama. In brahmachari ashrama, if you remember one of the slokas where Manu says is the brahmacharya should eat only by begging, and he should give a food to the guru, and then he should eat the leftover. There is very strict regulations how a brahmacharya should eat. But then he will give one exception. If the brahmachari is called to eat for a deva yajna or for a pitru yajna, so there is somebody is doing shraddham in their house, and the brahmacharya gets invited to eat in the house, or if there is a big yajna going on and the brahmacharya is part of the ritvik and is eating there, he doesn't need to follow any rules. He can eat as much as he wants. He can ask second serving, third serving. It says even if he eats as much as he wants and as like as he wants, he still will not violate the brahmacharya vrata. That's what it says in. So in that exception in deva yajna and pitru yajna, when the brahmacharya eats to his heart's content, and he can eat even tasty foods those time, he doesn't violate the brahmacharya ashrama. Here it says, I won't go to the details, but it says the grahastha who avoids 8 days, nindya ashtashu, one who avoids 8 days for meeting with the female, he is still considered a brahmachari, though he is having wife and having sex. If he follows these rules very strictly and avoids 8 particular days, and the 8 particular days are the 4 days, the Ekadasi, Trayodasi, Amavasya, Paurnami. So all will come. And then one who follows that rule, he is considered a brahmachari even if he is in the grahastha ashrama. So that's how it's telling. And there is a similar sloka in Prashnopanishad too. If you read the Prashnopanishad in Atharva Veda, there is a sloka which says that he will still consider a brahmachari if he follows all these rules. So that's kind of what it says. Okay, let's go to the next sloka, 51. Now it comes, now that part of the sexual part of the life is over. He's again coming back to the marriage part again. Na kanyaya pita vidwan grihniyat shulkaman vapi grihnam shulkam hi lobena shanaro apatya vikrayi. Na kanyayaha pita vidwan grihniyat shulkaman vapi grihnam shulkam hi lobena shanaro apatya vikrayi. Vikrayi means selling. the girl's father, who is a vidwan, means who is well learned, Grihhniyat, he will not even get one thing from the boy's side and in return for the girl. So the pita, who is really a vidwan, will not get even one thing in return from the boy's side for the girl. That is the real vidwan. Grihnam shulkam means even if somebody gets a little bit as a return from the boy's side for the girl, like you are selling, it looks like it is like selling the girl. That's what it is, apatya vikrahi. So if you exchange, if the boy's family gets something, so this is how it is, the girl's family here. And this is what Mahaperiva used to tell in the Devatin Kural, because at one time during his time and all, this Varadakshina, the boys, girl taunting, exploiting the girls for money and everything, that was very rampant, in India, like 30, 40 years ago. And Mahaperiva used to quote all these slokas for Manu Dharma and say, actually, it is the boy's family who would have to give to the girl. And we talked about it, and there will be slokas which will come. So the family is not expected to give anything to the boy at all. The boy's family is expected to give to the girl, but the girl's family should not demand it. If the girl's family demand it and accepts it, then it becomes vikrai, selling. It said the boy's family had to voluntarily give to the girl's family, but the girl's family should not demand and accept anything, and that is called, if you accept it, it's called vikrai. And even the Manusmriti will be very specific. Even what the boy's family gives for the girl should not be taken by the girl's family. It should be given to the girl itself, it seems. So that slokas will come. So the boy's family should give to the girl, but whatever the girl receives should be kept with the girl itself. It should not be taken by the girl's family. So that's what this sloka means. Is Grihnam Shulkam means even if he gets a little bit in return, it's equivalent to selling the girl, not doing Kanya Dhanam. Dhanam is it's like giving, but you're here, you're selling. There's a giving and a selling. Let's go to the next sloka. Sloka 52. Stri Dhanani tuye mahad upajivanti bandavaha naryanani vastram va te papa yanti atogadim. Stri Dhanani tuye mahod upajivanti bandavaha mohad. Stri Dhanani tu mohad upajivanti bandavaha naryanani vastram va te papa yanti atogadim. So he says, whatever is given as dhanam to the girl, bandava means if the girl's family, upajivanti, lives on that. So the girl gets, let's say, a lot of gifts from the boy's family, but the girl's relatives, use that for their own livelihood. Whatever money or gifts she got, if the bandavas use that, then that whole group will be yanti atogadim. They accumulate lot of papas and they go downwards. Atogadim, adogadiya paitana, they go to narakas or they suffer from other problems. So basically it again tells, whatever the girl gives, the bandava should not be using it for their livelihood. If they do it, it is a big sin and that will pull them downwards. Let's go to the next sloka, 53. Arshe go mitunam sulkam ke chidar chid ahrum chidahur mrshaivatate alpo apyevam mahan vapi vikrayas tavadevasaha. Arshe go mitunam shulkam ke chid ahur mrshaivatate alpo apyevam mahan vapi vikrayas tavadevasaha. So now he goes back to the Arsha marriage. Remember we talked about the Brahma, Daiva, Arsha, Prajapatya. They are all considered four better marriages. Now we actually refers to the fourth, the Arsha. In Arsha, if you remember, the boy gives go mitunam, which is a male cow and a female cow, the mitunam, to the girl's father, and as a return, he gets the girl from the father, but as a return, he gives the girl's father the pair of cow and a bull. Even that is considered vikriyam by some people, though it is considered as one of the four accepted marriages. Brahma, Daiva, Prajapatya, and Arsha are the four accepted marriages. Even the go mitunam, which is a small gift, even if alpo apyevam, which is a small gift, even that is considered selling according to some people. That's what he is telling here. So he says even that is why the Brahma and Daiva are considered the best. Even among the four, Brahma, Daiva, Arsha, Prajapatya, the Brahma, Daiva are the top, Prajapatya is 3 and Arsha is the 4, because in Arsha you are getting something in return. In Prajapatya, if you remember, you don't get anything in return, but the father gets the promise from the boy and the girl that they will live only so and so way. So when you are giving a gift, for example, to somebody, you don't tell them how to use the gift. Let's say you go to somebody marriage or something, you give them a gift, but you don't tell them, yo, you should use this gift this way, and all. You give the gift and you let them decide how you want to use the gift. Same way in Prajapatya, what you're doing is you are offering the girl, but you're giving guidelines. You should only live this way and all. Only if you like this, if you live like this, I will give my girl to you, which is not a bad idea, but even that is an expectation. So that's why even Prajapatya is considered not as great as Brahma and Daiva marriages. So that is what Manu is telling here, because he's telling if you even accept something, it becomes selling. So that is why he's going back to Prajapati and telling the Arsha marriage, even that is considered selling according to some people. Let's go to the sloka number 54. Yasam na dadate shulkam Nyatayo nasa vikrayaha arhanam tat kumarinam andrushamsyam cha kevalam. Yasam na dadate shulkam Nyatayo nasa vikrayaha arhanam tat kumarinam andrushamsyam cha kevalam. Here again it is telling here, if the girl's family doesn't take even a little bit, na vikraya, that is not considered selling. So basically, if the girl's family don't accept any gifts for themselves, that is not considered selling. Arhanam means they should give that all to the girl itself. Arhanam tat kumarinam. So whatever gift is given should be given to the girl itself for her personal use. So if they do it that way, that is not considered selling the girl. That's what it is telling. Okay, let's go to the next sloka. Pitrubhi Bhratrubhi Chaitah. So I think it should be Pitrubhir Bhratrubhi Chaitah Patibhir Devarais Tata Pujya Bhushayitavyascha Bahu Kalyanam Api Shubhihi. The slokas here, all it will tell how the girl should be treated and those things, because there are some question of inequality, other things. The next 5-10 slokas will tell how the girls in the family should be treated. Pitrubhi Bhratrubhi Chaitah Patibhir Devarais Tata Pujya Bhushayitavyascha Bahu Kalyanam Api Shubhihi, which means if a male wants to have comfortable life, Api Shubhihi means Bahu Kalyanam means with all auspicious, if you have to live, the best way is the Pitru, the Brata, the Pati, the Devarais means the father, the brother, the husband, and the husband's relatives. All of them should be literally worshipping or giving Bhusha. It means Bhushana means giving gifts after gifts to the woman. So that is what it says. If you do that, Bahu Kalyanam, everybody will be happy, it seems it says. So next sloka. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devataha yatrai tastu na pujyante sarvastra afalakriyaha. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devataha yatrai tastu na pujyante sarvastatra afalakriyaha. Afalakriya means no use, or there will be very less benefit. In the place where the naryas, the women, are respected and treated well, the devas are also ramante datra the devas are very happy, it seems. And where they are not treated well and ill treated, even all the karmas afalakriya, they will not produce any benefits. So basically it is telling, shower the ladies with all the gifts, keep them happy. If you do that, all kalyanams will happen. And if you treat them poorly, even if you do all the worship, it has very less benefits. So sloka number 57. So the interesting thing is, from sloka 57 to 65 is not in Medaditi's original commentary, because Medaditi wrote a commentary on Manusmriti. So 57 to 66 is in the modern books of Manusmriti, but there is no commentary by Medaditi. So this is some people think these slokas are inserted after Manu's time. So it is possible, but since it is the current books, we'll just go over them. If you see a commentary by Medaditi, that means it's original Manusmriti Sloka itself. If you don't see, it doesn't mean that it was not there. Maybe Medaditi thought that it is very self-explanatory. It is very possible that Medaditi thought that this very self-explanatory, doesn't even write a commentary, or it is possible that somebody inserted these slokas after his time period too. So next sloka is Sochanti Jamayo Yatra Vinasyatyasu Tatkulam Na Sochanti tu Yatraita Vardate Tadhi Sarvada. So this is again very simple sloka. Shochanti Jamayo Yatra Vinashyatyasu Tatkulam Na Sochanti tu Yatraita Vardate Tadhi Sarvada. So there is two words, Rochane, Sochane. Rochane, Rochamanan, we tell in the Vedas too. Rochanam means keeping them happy. Sochanam means sokam, keeping them unhappy. So nasochanti is equal to rochanam. Nasochanti means where they are not depressed or kept unhappy. So the place where the ladies are kept unhappy, Venas yat yashu tat kulam, that whole kulam goes for destruction. Nasochanti, where they are not made unhappy, vardate, that kulam gets multiplied. So that's again a very simple sloka. Basically, the ladies are treated badly, that kulam goes for destruction, and if they are treated well, that particular parampara multiplies and proliferates. Okay, let's go to the next sloka. Jamayo yani gehani sapantya pratipujitaha tani krihat hataneva vinashyanti samantataha. Jamayo yani gehani sapantya pratipujitaha tani kritya hataniva vinashyanti samantataha. So this is also same thing, the same meaning, basically telling that wherever the ladies are being not treated well, and it says that all the relatives, for example, in the family itself, the boy, there is a girl, the father differentiate. He gives the boy special attention, but he doesn't gives the girl, or he neglects the girl, or the same thing. The brothers are there, the brothers take care of themselves, but they ignore the sister. So in the families where all these ill treatment happens for the girls, and if the girl gives shabam, we have seen this in movies and other things. When the girl of the family gives shapa or a curse, kritya hata niva, again the family goes for destruction. So basically, when there is partial treatment, we call somebody is treated well, somebody is not treated well. When there is partial treatment in the family between a boy and the girl, and the girl curses in that family, again the family will go into destruction. So again it tells this in a different format than what was in the 57 sloka. Then close 59 sloka. Tasmad detaha sada pujya bhushana chadana shanaihi bhuti kamair narair nityam सत्कार्येषु सवेषु च तस्मादेता सदा पूज्या भूषणा चादनाशनैः भूतिकामैर्नरैर्नित्यं सत्कार्येषु सवेषु च. So again it says bhushana achana sadhanai, which means all bhushana means ornaments, where the girls are given ornaments, pujya, they are worshipped and they are given ornaments and decorations. Those families, satkareshu, that family will always have good things happening in those families. So narair nityam, and where the narair nityam means the girls of the family are very satisfied, that family will progress very well. Satkar, all good things will be happening there. So that is the meaning of that. So basically, give as much gold, whatever you can offer. If the family gives doing that, like I said, if some of our gold jewelry shops can put these slokas in them, they will get nice marketing, And then santushto bharyaya bharta bharya tataivacha yasmineva kule nityam kalyanam tatravai dhruvam. Santushto bharyaya bharta bharya tataivacha yasmineva kule nityam kalyanam tatravai dhruvam. And it says bharta and bharya, where the husband makes sure the wife is happy and the wife makes sure the husband is happy, the mutual thing, that kulam will be where all kalyana means all auspicious things will happen in that family. So again, maybe that is the reason Medaditi probably didn't write, because these are very self-explanatory, simple slokas too. So next sloka, Yadahi stri na rochate pumsanam na pramodayet apramodat punah pumsha prajanam na pravartate. So it is giving another ramification. Yadahi stri na rochate pumsanam na pramodayet apramodati punah pumsah prajanam na pravartate. So basically it says in the families where the girls are unhappy also, the other consequences, they will also have no kids in the family over time. So, that is another thing he tells. We can understand this either because husband and wife are fighting, they are not together, or it is because of the curse somebody gives, the girl's family is cursing, that's why they don't have kids in the family. But basically, he's telling one of the consequences, there will be very less progeny in the areas where the girls are constantly ill treated and not given all the gifts and things. There will be no kids in the family also. That's what it says. Okay, let's go to the next one. Sloka number 62. Striyam tu rochamanayam sarvam tad rochate kulam tashyam tva avarochamanayam sarvameva narochate. Striyam tu rochamanayam sarvam tad rochate kulam tasyam tva avarochamanayam sarvam eva narochate. Same meaning, where the girls are kept happy, the whole family will be happy, and if they are not happy, everybody will also be unhappy. So we think that is the meaning of all the few slokas is basically families which treat the girls well, give them gifts and make them they are satisfied, those families will prosper well. And families where the girls are ill treated and they are not given gifts and they are treated partially, those families will go for destruction. That's kind of the summary of all the slokas in the last few slokas we talked about. We'll talk about another 2-3 slokas and end today. Kuvivahehi kriya lopair Vedan annadena cha kulani akulatam yanti brahmana atikramena cha kuvivahaihi kriyalopai Vedan annadena cha kulani akulatam yanti brahmana atikramena cha. Now Manu comes back to a general point. He says 4 things. Kuvivahai means wrong marriages. Kriya Lopa means not doing the kriyas, like all the pujas, sandhya vandanas, the srardha karmas. If you are all the kriya lopa means you are not doing the rituals properly at home. Vedan anadhyanenacha, if you are not chanting the Vedic mantras. And brahmana atikramenacha, and you are constantly insulting the brahmanas. So if you do all those 4, again that particular kulam will go for destruction. So wrong marriages, not doing the rituals, not chanting the Vedas, and insulting the Brahmanas. If you do all those 4, that particular family will go for destruction. That's what Manu says here. Sloka number 64. Shilpena vyavaharena Sudra patyescha kevalaihi Gobiresh vaishcha yanaischa Krishya rajopasevaya. Shilpena vyavaharena Sudra patyescha kevalaihi Gobiras vaishchayanascha Krishya rajopasevaya. He says this is particularly for the Brahmins, is telling Shilpa means sculpture, Vyavahara means court matters, Sudra and other one is living with the Sudra girl. Gobir Vaishcha Yaneshcha means trading with using, so you are selling and buying cows and horses. Krishya is agriculture. Rajopasevaya means going and doing some service to the king. If you do all of those things, again that particular kulam will not prosper well, he says. So sculpture is basically telling Brahmins should not be doing sculpture. They can do a little bit, but should not be doing it as a full time. They should not be involved in court cases frequently, and again living with low class girls or trading in cows and animals or doing agriculture. These are all not recommended for the people, Brahmins people especially, that will pull them down. Sloka number 65. Ayajya yajanaishchaiva nastikena cha karmanam kulanyasu vinashyanti yani hinani mantrataha. Again, very important things. ayajya yajanaishchaiva nastikena cha karmanam kulanyastu vinashyanti yani heenani mantratah. Mantrahinam means you are either telling mantras wrong or not even telling mantras at all at your home. That is why there should be some mantras, slokas always be told. It could be Vedic mantras, Vishnu Sastram, Lita Sastram, something. Heenani mantrata means when there is mantrahinam in the family. Nastik enacha karmanam. So nastik means no belief in all the good karmas, like using the pujas, shraddhas, all the good, the karmas which is recommended in doing the pumasavanam, simandam, upanayanam, all those are karmas. If you have no belief on the karmas, ayajya yajanashchaiva means participating in yajnas which is not done by the right people. Ayajya means who are not qualified. Either you are calling unqualified people to do yajnas at your home, or you are participating in homams done by unqualified people. So those kind of yajnas. So participation in homas done by unqualified people, having no belief in the rituals which are recommended, and mantrahinam, not having any mantras chanted at home, those kulas also eventually will face destruction. Then the last sloka will stop with this today. Mantra tastu samruddhani kulanyan kulanya alpadananapi kulasankyanam cha gachanti karshanti cha mahadyashah. So he gives the opposite sentence now. Mantra tastu samruddhani kulanyan alpadananapi kulasankyanam cha gachanti karshanti cha mahadyashah. Mahadyashah means great fame. And he says alpadananapi means poor, they have less money. So there are families which have less money, but mantra tastu samruddhani, there is always mantras being sent in that home. There is lot. Samruddhani means no deficit for mantras. They have plenty of mantras being told in their homes. Those families, even if they have less money, but the mantras are more, those families eventually will get into great fame. Sa mahadyashaha. That the families will proliferate well, progress well, and eventually they will get great fame. So basically, the previous sloka says mantrahinam kulanasam. Here mantra samruddhani mahadyashaka. The opposite. There will be great fame coming to the family eventually. So we will stop with that sloka today. Shriyakantaaya kalyananidayanidaye artinam Shri Venkata Nivasaya Shri Vasaya Mangalam Mangalam Koshalendraya Mahaniya Gunaptem Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam. Now Padmanabhanji can continue with his Nyaya Sastra lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jambunathan. Nidaya Hridi Visvesham Vidaya Guru Vandanam Balanam Sukhabodhaya Kriyate Tarka Sangraha. So, we were discussing about the Nyaya Shastra. I think I'll go back to my spreadsheet. I think I'll start from there. So let us say where, oops, sorry, I had to share my screen. Just a second. No. Hope you're able to see my screen now. Okay. So, Nyaya Shastra talks about, I mean, especially the Kannada Nyaya Shastra talks about the 7 padarthas, the 7 ways that, 7 things that you have to understand to get to the true knowledge. So, in the Jagat, there are 7 padarthas, Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, Samavaya, Abhavaha. And out of this, so far we were discussing about the Dravya and Guna. We went through all the Dravya. There are 9 Dravyas, which is Prithvi, Apa, Teja, Vayu, Akasha, Kala, Dikmana, Atma. So we discussed about the different Dravyas, and we concluded with all the Gunas in the last session. There are 24 Gunas. Guna is equal to quality. So different qualities. So there's substance, there is quality. And the rest of them are also defined as Padarthas. And those Padarthas also get us to the real knowledge. So we'll start from the karma today. Okay, sorry. So karma, what is meant by karma? Karma is basically called as an action. So let's see the shloka that is for karma. Chalanatmakam karma urdvadesha samyogaha ऊर्ध्वदेश संयोग हेतुः उक्षेपणम्. Adhodesha samyoga hetuhu apakshepanam. So the karma is basically classified as 5 different classifications. So karma by itself means it's any movement, any type of movement that is happening. So the movement, anything that you are throwing a ball up, the movement that is going up is called as a ukshepana. And the movement that is going down, like pushing a ball down like a basketball or something like that, that is called as an apakshepana. So in the movement that is happening upwards, it is caused by the contact of the substance in the upper region. At the same time, in the apakshepana karma, it is caused by the contact of the substance in the lower region. Then the third one is sharirasya sannikrishta samyoga hetuhu akunchanam viprakrishta samyoga hetuhu prasaranam. So there are other two, basically there is a karma of shrinking. So when the balloon goes away, right, when the fully blown balloon loses its air, it shrinks. That shrinking process is called as a akunchanam. So it is caused by a contact with the region near one's body. So that is something coming towards the body, kind of. That is what is happening. And then when you blow a balloon or when you fill a car tire or something like that, the prasaranam happens. Viprakrishta samyoga hetuhu prasaranam. So then he says, rest of them, anyat sarvam gamanam. So gamanam is, gamanam is generally defined as a movement. Gamanam means going up, going here and there. So that is generally a movement. So although all the other 4 are classified as gamanam, but especially the Acharya classifies these first 4 as a separate entities and the 5th one as a gamanam, and the gamanam covers anything else. Any other kind of movement that you see is called as a gamanam. So what are the 5 karmas? They are basically ukshepanam, apakshepanam, akunchanam, prasaranam, and gamanam. And gamanam is the rest of the movements which are there. Prithiviyadi chatushtaya manomatra vritti. So this, where does this karma happen? The karma happens in the dravyas. In the dravyas, what are the dravyas where it happens? Prithiviyadi chatushtayam. So when you say the Prithiviyadi chatushtayam, so it's a classification, right? So when you say Prithiviyadi chatushtayam, it starts from Prithivi and the 4 things after that. So Prithivi, Jalam, Agni, Vayu. The last one is the Akasha. In the Akasha, there is no karma because it is space. So in these 4 things, Prithivi, Jalam, Agni, and Vayu, we also saw that the Prithivi, Agni, and Jalam and Vayu, they start their existence from what is called as a Paramanu. So the minute atom. So from there, then one Paramanu joins with the other Paramanu, and the other Paramanu joins, and then it becomes the object, and that is how the whole creation happens. That's what we discussed earlier. So all these 4 things have this Murta Dravya concept, where you always, it is created from something else. So the Prithvi, Jalam, Agni, Vayu has this Paramanu Swarupam, and the last one is the Mano. So when you say the Prithiviyadi Chatushtaya Manomatra Vritti, the Prithiviyadi Chatushtayam is Prithvi, Jalam, Agni, Vayu. We don't include the 5th one there, right? Because the 5th one is Akasha. In the Akasha, there is no karma, there is no chalanam that is happening. All these 4 have chalanam. So the movements are happening, any kind of movement that is happening. And the last one is Manaha. In the mind, it always moves around. So Manaha also has this Gamana Kriya. So these are the 5 places where the karma as a padartha that exists. Then the next padartha is Samanya. Nityam ekam anekanugatam samanyam dravya guna karma vritti tad dvividam para apara bhedat param satta aparam dravyatvadihi. So nityam ekam anekanugatam samanyam. So the samanya is basically it's something called as a class forming property. So in a class forming property, you basically have a relationship also, and it has 2 levels of relationship. One is an outer relationship and an inner relationship, or you call it as a wide area of application and a lower area of application. Let us see how that works, right? So this, let's say take this plate. This is a mud plate. So the mud plate, you say it has this plateness in it. So that is very local to the mud plate. So that is a lesser area, the upper relationship there. But when you compare the mud plate, which is made of mud in it, or which is made of the Prithvi is a wider scope. You can say this object as a Prithvi, but the Prithvi has a wider scope to it. It has so many other components, so that is a larger area of application. Whereas the mud plate is a subset of application. Similarly, Prithvi is part of the Dravya. Dravya has the other 9 elements associated with it. So if you have this class formation of property, you will have a sequence of hierarchy of things to explain all these things. So you start from Dravya, you go to Prithvi, and you go to this clay pot, and then you see the clay plate, and you see the plate-ness on it. So, and then you come to that particular point. So there is always a relationship that is being established here. So where are these present? They are present in the Dravya, Guna, and Karma. So they are present in the Padarthas. So all the Padarthas, among all the Padarthas, the Dravya, Guna, Karma Padarthas have it. So all the 9 Dravyas have it, all the 24 Gunas have it, and all the 5 Karmas have it. The same kind of the relationship of one level higher than the next level. So higher than the lower level. So that's how that relationship is existing there. And the uniqueness of the Kannada Shastra is the Nyaya Shastra is something called as a Vishesha. So Vishesha means you have so many things, so many cats in the world. But we know there is one particular cat we always identify, and we make it point to it and say that is that cat. So Vishesha defines the uniqueness of every object. So it is Nitya Dravya Vyavratayoho Vyavartika Vishesha. So it defines the uniqueness of every object. It is present in Dravya and makes each Dravya distinct from each other. So the Paramanus of all Dravyas are Nitya. So when you go to the Paramanu level, they are Nitya. All the Dravyas are Nitya, but when manipulation, it becomes distinct. So when a Prithvi Paramanu becomes and finally transformed to this cup, then it becomes a set of cups. Among the set of cups, the Vishesha indicates this cup is like this. So we can always say, if there are 10 people and they say this person is a good guy, this person is a bad guy, whatever it is. So that kind of a Vishesha that we are qualifying with it is also a Padartha. And the 6th Padartha is a Samavaya. Nitya Sambandha Samavaya. Ayutta Siddha Vrittihi. So the Samavaya is called as an inherence. And that inherence is defined as an eternal relationship. So this is also a relationship like what we saw in the previous one, but the relationship is very specific on this one. Here say, Yayoho, Dvayoho Madhye, Ekam Aparashatam Eva Avatishtate, Tau Ayuta Siddhau. So this is always found in bonded entities, and they are there existing as long as that relationship, as long as the bonding is there. Once the bonding is gone, that relationship is gone. So that it's also forming, but it also can go away. Yata, so this exists in 5 different places. Yata, avayava avayavinav, guna guninav, kriya kriyavantav, jati vyakti, vishesha nityadravyecha iti. So there are 5 different places where this kind of relationship that can happen. So in this picture, if you see, there is a human person. This person is the avayavi. So he's the one who is, that person is the person there. He has a hand. The hand becomes the avayava. So the relationship, we call that as avayavi avayavaha. So this whole person is avayavi. He has a hand, and that hand is called as avayavaha. He has fingers in his hand. Those fingers becomes the avayavas of his hand. And similarly, he has a face that becomes avayava of him. But the avayavi is a person who owns it. And that is how the hand is a Visheshana qualifier there, and the human being is a Vishesha qualifier, and there is a relationship. This Samavaya Sambandha is relating to those things, because we also saw a Sambandha called Samyoga Sambandha. In the Samyoga Sambandha, if you drop an apple in the ground, that apple has a contact in the ground as long as it is there, and somebody takes and eats it, that contact goes away. So that is not an eternal relationship. That is a contact relationship. Whereas in this Samavaya Sambandha, it is an eternal relationship. It only gets destroyed if that bonding goes away. So it is always there. You always identify a person, and the person has hand, and that hand always belongs to this person. So that relational knowledge is accepted on the basis of a qualified knowledge. So this is about 5 of them we saw, because yata avayava avayavinav, guna guninav, kriya kriyavanto, jati vyakti, vishesha nitya dravya. So let us see all these 5 examples. So what is avayava avayavi now? So we saw the human being and his hand. Similarly, you see a car. A car is a full object, and the car has tires, glasses, and mirrors, whatever, steering wheel, etc., etc. So they are all related. Those things are related to that car. So that exists. Those are the things which are needed in a car. We define the car. The carness is basically based on having this whole part. It needs to have a wheel. Needs to have a mirror. It needs to have a steering wheel, whatever that is. And so something that can make it move. Then only we can define that as a car. So those exists as a car exists as a whole, and its parts are referred to as its relationship. So car and parts, they are referred to as avayava avayavina relationship. So that is a relationship we define through the samavaya sambandha, and these are all eternally related to that car. The tires are eternally related to the car. The glasses are eternally related to the car, and so on. So this happens within the dravya. Now, next step is there is a cup here. The cup is a dravya, which is a substance, but we also have the cup's color. In this case, the cup is pink in color. So when you say it's a pink color cup, the pink color represents a rupa. The rupam is actually a guna, it's a quality. So there is a relationship. There's a cup's relationship. The color of the cup with relationship to its color is called as the guna guninav relationship. So it is the quality relationship with that object. The third relationship, where it is eternal, is the movement of a hand. So the hand is movement at that time. Let's observe that a moment. The hand is moving at a particular time, and that time the actor and the motion will have that relationship. So there is a kriyavantav. So the kriya means the action of moving, and the kriyavantaha, the person who is moving, they have a relationship, and that relationship, when that happens, it is a third kind of relationship. So it happens. So we saw it can happen in a dravya, it can happen with a guna, and it can happen with a kriya also. So these are the three places widely where it is applicable. And now the next one is a jati and vyakti. So we can say a jati means it's a big collection. So we can say all the boats, they're jati. And then you can say all the cows, they're all jati. Within that cow, you say this particular cow, then it becomes a vyakti, individual. So we say all the men, it's a jati. Among the men, this is particular person, then we say it's a vyakti, individual. Similarly, in the jati of boats that are here, the vyakti is individual. So there is a relationship of this boat to the jati of boats. So that is also an eternal relationship, because the boat has a boatness property in it, and all the boats have the same boatness property in it, but this particular boat is defined or indistinctly defined there. It has an eternal relationship to the classification of boats. So that is what we call as a jati vyakti relationship. And finally, the paramanu to dravya. So this is a vishesha nitya dravya cha iti. So the nityam means it is eternal. That means which is never, which has no birth or no death, right? So that's a nityam. Anything otherwise, it becomes a nitya, because something which is born and something goes away. Anything that is born, we know that it goes away, but there are some things which are in this existence as nitya. The nitya, in the nitya state, the Nyaya Shastra takes the nitya state as the for the four things, especially Prithvi, Jalam, Agni, and Vayu. They are called as a Muta Dravyam because they exist in the Paramanu state. That is its original state. So from the Paramanu, it becomes Dvinakam and Trinakam. It just two Paramanus join through some action, and that action becomes something else. And the two joins to three joins to four, and all these atoms join together and forms an object. And that is how the whole existence started. So this particular action that is happening, how is this action happening? Nyaya Shastra agrees that it is Ishvara's Icha. Based on God's will, these actions are happening. So but the dravya that is formed, let's say the dravya of a cup that is formed, it came through a paramanu, let us say. Those paramanu are eternal state. But the dravya that comes out of the paramanu is in a mithya state. So, but the relationship is there. The paramanu to the dravya relationship is there. That's a Vishesha Nitya Dravya relationship. So, the Samavaya Sambandha, where there are 5 different relationships based on the Dravya, Guna, and Karma. And these are the whole and part of the Dravya, or it can be a Guna of a Dravya, or it's a Kriya of some Dravya or something like that, or it is a classification and subclassification, classification and an individual relationship. And then it is the eternal to the object that is that got created relationship. So these are where the eternal relationship is always present. And this eternal relationship will be always there as long as that object exists. When the object is gone, that relationship is gone. Or even one of the thing is, even if the tire, if they start making a car without, or the car goes without one tire, then that relationship is gone at that time. That samavaya sambandha is gone. So then the last one on the padartha is the abhava. So this is again a vishesha. This is because very important, because we can say we only talk about what is there, but we also need to explain something with what is not there. That is a very, very important aspect. And the Nyaya Shastra it dwells and defines and goes very much into it, saying that yeah, he is this, but he's not this, right? The not is a very, very important factor to define and to classify an object. So the abhava has 5 different forms. So out of this, the first one is the pragabhava. Anadi sa antah pragabhava utpatte purvam karyasya. Sa adihi anantah pradvamsah utpattyo anantaram karyasya. So anadihi sa antah pragabhava. So let's say a child is born. Before the child is born, the child is not there. So let's say the child is born today, which is April 20th. On April 15th, the child was not there. Or in 1947, the child was not there. Even when the Mahabharata Yuddham happened, the child was not there. So all those times, so go back all the way to that time, the child was not there. So that is called a pragabhava. So or we can take a simple example as here, the tree is there, the tree has been existing, but the tree did not have this apple. So before this, let's say the apple was blooming today, before the blooming, that event, that is the pragabhava of the apple. So in that time we say, let us say it is today is 20th April. On 15th April, we say this apple's abhava was there. So apple was there, but so we have to say the apple was there, but the apple existed in the abhava state. That is very important, because apple by thing is existing all over the time. So either it is existing or not existing. So on the April 15th or on the 1st of January of 2025, the apple existed in abhava state. That's what we should say there, rather than saying the apple does not exist. But we'll say the apples existed in its abhava state. And on April 20th, we say the apple existed in its state right now. It is in the satta. So when that apple, so the pre-absence has an end and it does not have a beginning. So the beginning means it can go kala, anadi kalam. So it can go for yugam, generations and generations, whatever infinite number of times behind us. So that is their pre-absence existing time. The duration of the pre-existing is anadi kalam to the moment it is born. The opposite of that is the destruction. When the apple is eaten by someone, the apple goes away. That is, destruction happens. When the destruction happens, it has a beginning. So that destruction happens on that time. Let us say the apple is eaten today, April 20th. But tomorrow, what happens to this apple? Apple is there, but apple exists as a abhava. That says, then it becomes a pradvamsa abhava. So in this case, there is a starting point, but there is no end point, because we don't know when it's going to end. As long as and even 10,000 years from now, we can say this apple has a abhava during that time, because there's a pradvamsa that happened, but that happened on April 20th, 2025. So that is how this abhava happens. So the Shastra explains in a lot of places through the pragabhava and the pradvamsa abhava. Then the other two abhavas are Traikalika Samsarga Avichinna Pratiyogika Atyanta Pratiyogi Atyanta Abhavaha Yatha Bhutale Gatho Nasti Iti. So there is something called as an absolute absence. Absolute absence is the Atyanta Abhavaha. So in the absolute absence, this Shastra, Nyaya Shastra, talks about saying that when there is no, here in the ground, there is no part. So the part is there. We know there is a part, but the part is not in the ground. But there is how do we establish that relationship? The relationship is, the part is not in the ground. So it is called as the Atyanta Bhavaha. So there is absolutely there, not there. And we take all the 3 columns. It is present, the part is not there today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So there is no part in the ground. So this is a total absence of this particular object in the ground. So that becomes an atyanta bhava. Tadatmya sambandha avichinna pratiyogitakaha anyonya bhava yata gataha pato na bhavati iti. Tadatmya sambandha avichinna pratiyogitakaha anyonya bhava. Basically a mutual absence. So the fourth absence is called as a mutual absence. So the third absence is an absolute absence where we say there is no part in the ground. In the mutual absence, we say it is a part, but it is not a cloth. So that also we have to very specifically say. So when you talk about a part, we say it has a partness in it, but it does not have a clothness in it. So the clothness is absent in the part. So that is what the mutual absence is being distinguished. So it is very clearly specifying what that object is. So I think I said 5. There are four abhavas. The four abhavas are pragabhava, pradvamsa bhava, atyanta bhava, and anyonya bhava. So now let's go back to that spreadsheet for a minute, and then we'll come back here. So we see that, so we saw the Jagat, which is the seven Jagat, which has 7 padarthas. These are the 7 individual pieces that we understand the Jagat with. These are the Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samavaya Bhavaha. Out of this, the Dravyas have Prithvi, Apa, Teja, Vayu, Akasha, Kala, Dik, Mana, Atma. And the gunas are the 24 things. That's Rupa, Rasa, Gandhadi. So all these 24 items that we saw. And we spent a lot of time in going through the buddhi as the buddhi, which is the knowledge, because that is the whole reason of the tarka, because the Nyaya Shastra, because we wanted to understand what everything is talking about, right? We spent a lot of time on the buddhi piece of it. Let me just move my, okay, all right, yeah. So we start with the buddhi is highly classified as 2 different parts, the smriti and the anubhava. The smriti is what is the remembrance, and the anubhava is what is the experiences. So the anubhava is very more important because anubhava is current, and based on that only we get the knowledge. The smriti happens when after the anubhava. So the process is, they are not 2 classifications, but there is a 2-step process. The anubhava is the thing when it is happening. So when it is happening, there are 2 types of anubhava we see that, which is the yathartha anubhava, which leads into the true knowledge, and then we see the ayathartha anubhava, which leads into the confused knowledge. So the prama, that becomes when the yathartha knowledge produces the prama, which is the true authentic source of knowledge. So the yathartha knowledge, yathartha pramanam, has 4 different, we use 4 different measurements, 4 different pramanams to understand the yathartha pramanam in the Nyaya Shastra. One is the pratyaksha pramanam, then the second is anumana pramanam, third is upamana pramanam, and the shabda pramanam. So the pratyaksha pramanam is something we indriyartha sannikarsa nikarsa vishaya. So anything that is happening through our sense organs, whatever we see and we realize, or whatever we smell and we realize, all these things are happening through the pratyaksha pramanam, and that is a pramanam. That itself is a true knowledge by itself. There is a 2-step process to the pratyaksha pramanam also. There is a nirvikalpa and the savikalpa. In the nirvikalpa state, the knowledge is established. We see something. Before we see something, we hazily recognize there is something there, and then we realize and visualize and associate the object. We see a tree or we see an apple, whatever that is. So that 2 steps are nirvikalpa and the savikalpa, and those are explained by the relationships. The savikalpa jnana is explained through the contact and the eternal relationship. So the samyoga is a contact relationship. So when you see an apple in the ground, that is a samyoga relation. Samyoga udaharanam, because the apple will be there this moment, after next moment it won't be there. It is a contact at that point of time. And the samyukta samyoga means the apple may be there, the apple is red in color. The red colorness of the apple is always related to that apple. So there is a eternal relationship of the apple, but the apple is having a contact in it, contact in the ground. So at that time, so there is a guna also being described with a dravya that happens to samyukta samayoga relationship, and there is a samyukta samaveta samayoga, again 2 samyukta samavaya relationships along with the contact relationship, and then there is an eternal relationship, and then eternal relationship, and finally the qualified and qualifying relationship. So that is a visheshana vishesha bhava. So these are the pratyaksha pramanas available. And then we went to the anumana pramana. That's where we spent a lot of time, because the anumanam is really the one where we infer and understand the knowledge. And we use all our senses and all our intuitions and all our step by step process to come to this conclusion, the inference process of conclusion. That there are two types of anumana, swartha and parartha. And the swartha anumanam is for me to understand myself. That is the swartha anumanam. So that is okay, because I can get my true knowledge by understanding myself, but that is only for me. Now the parartha anumanam is when you define it for others. When you define it for others, you go to let's say a sabha and gives a debate or whatever it is. You need to prove all these things, right? You have to prove what you inferred and how you prove it. The Pararthanumanam is defined by Pratignya, Hetu, Udaharanam, Upanaya, and Nigamanam. Those are the 5 steps of proving the Pararthanumanam, basically saying that establishing the fact, using the reason, Hetu, which is very important, and Udaharanam, example, and Upanaya, the conclusion, and then the establishing the fact. Those are the 5 different steps to give the Pararthanumanam. And the Anumanam has 3 different types of reasoning types. So using the positive relationship, using a negative relationship, and using both a positive and negative relationship. So those are the 3 steps or 3 ways of reasoning that we can do. And then we saw about the pakshaha, sapakshaha, and vipakshaha. In the pakshaha is where the action happens. The sapakshaha is where you know the action is happening. And the vipakshaha is place where never the action can never happen. So in a jala, in the lake, the fire can never happen. That's a vipakshaha. In the sapakshaha, the mountain is there, and then the paksha is the mountain, and the fire is happening, and the sapakshaha is something you can relate through it. So in the kitchen, the smoke is there, and that is an established fact. That is a sapakshaha. So we use all these parameters to come to the anumanam, to come to a conclusion. And the most important part of coming to a conclusion in an anumanam is a hetu. To arrive at the hetu is a very important fact. If the hetu is not strong, then the anumanam becomes weak. And when the anumanam becomes weak, the argument is lost. So that is the very important point. So hetu has to be very clear in the inferential process step. So the hetu also can have defects. So that can avoid us. There are a lot of defects that can prevent us in getting that true knowledge. So they are called as the Hetva Abhasaha. In the Hetva Abhasaha, there are 5 different types of Hetva Abhasaha, which prevents us from gaining the knowledge, which is the inconsistent Hetu, which means the Hetu is not stable. It can be fluctuating, misunderstanding. Sadharana, Asadharana, Anupasamhari are the 3 different kind of inconsistent Hetus. Hetu totally behaving opposite, which you can never can happen, and sometimes mind goes in different arguments, and that's an opposite that can be created. And then sometimes the hetu can go in parallel counter argument. So in an argumentative state, one person can be arguing in one side, other person can be arguing in another state. They will never come together to understand each other, and the hetu will be lost in the whole argument. So that is called as a satpratipaksha. And then there is an unestablished thing. Sometimes we just assume things or make up our own stories and come up with all these things. That is an asiddha. And sometimes the contradicting hetus are also will be there. That is also very difficult to prove. So that is a bhadita. So these are the elements that come to the Anumana Pramanam, and that's where we spent most of our time. And then we came to the Upamanam as a Pramanam. Upamanam is a very simple thing. Upamanam is using an example to show that. So go sadrshaha gavaha. Like what is go sadrshaha gavayavaha. So the gavaya, how do you define the gavaya? It is like a cow. So using from known to unknown, using a known example to explain an unknown piece is Upamanam will be helpful there. Last one is a Shabda Pramanam. The Shabda Pramanam, we say Aptavakyam Shabdam. So the Aptavakyam means what is Aptavakyam? That can say what it is without any biases, anything, what do you call, sugar coating or anything like that. So it is whatever it's true, it is staying as it is. You just need to take it as a pramanam. That is a Shabda Pramanam. So there's no twisting there. Out in the Shabda Pramanam, there are 2 different types of Pramanam, the Vaidika Shabda Pramanam and the Laukika Shabda Pramanam. The Vaidika Pramanam is the Veda. So in the Veda case, we don't classify further because Veda itself is a Pramanam by itself. So everything, whatever the Veda says, we take it as it is. So that is a true, that is an authentic Pramanam that is said. But in the Laukika Pramanam, there are possibilities. There are a lot of things that we have to, there are even the Laukikas can have pramana vakyani. They can create pramana vakyani, but then it becomes apta vakyam. And it is made up of three different things: the akanksha, yogyata, and siddhi. The context and the application and the proximity. Those are the three things that are needed to have the laukika pramanam as a apta vakyam there. And then that becomes a pramanam. So these are all part of the yathartha knowledge. And in the ayathartha knowledge, the yathartha knowledge creates a true knowledge that's with a clear understanding. So that's a prama, and the ayathartha creates a brahma. The brahma basically is confusion. So what are the places where this confusion, what happens because of the ayathartha knowledge? We get three different things: samshaya, viparyaya, and tarka. So doubt, error, and hypothetical assumption. These are all the things which prevent us from getting the true knowledge. So that is what the ayathartha pramana does it. So coming back to the Jagat, so this is where we spent a lot of time on the Buddhi, then we went to the other gunas, Sukha, Dukkha, Ichcha, Dosha, Prayatna, Dharma, Dharma, Samskara. And then we concluded with the rest of the Padarthas, the Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, Samavaya, and Abhava. So the karma is 5 different karmas, the 2 Samanya Pramanas, Padarthas, Vishesha and Samavaya don't have anything. Subsets under them and Abhava as the Prak Pradvamsa Atyanta Anyonya Bhava. So this is the whole nutshell of the Nyaya Shastra. So we are coming to the shloka, the shloka before the end, the penultimate shloka, which says Sarvesham Padarthanam Yata Ayata Mukteshu Antarbhava Sapta Eva Padartha iti Siddham. So now we then, based on all these things we put together, we can classify for any knowledge we need to get to it using the Padarthas. We come to the conclusion that these are the 7 things that we can classify the whole existence, and then we come up with this knowledge using this, coming to the true knowledge. So this is a very adequate and exhaustive classification. So what are the 7 things? Dravya, the first slokam, we start with coming back to the first slokam, we can make a connection back, which says Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samavaya Bhavaha Sapta Padarthaha. So those are the 7 Sapta Padarthas that are, that through this, the Kanada Rishi established the Vaisheshika Shastra. So, Kanada Nyaya Matayorho Bala Utpatti Siddhaye Annam Bhattena Vidusha Rachitas Tarka Sangraha. So the learned Annam Bhatta gave us this logical and philosophical aphorisms in order to clear the understanding of students as regards to the opinion of Kanada. So basically, it's a Vaisheshika Shastram, and he has condensed everything to for us to give us examples, and based on those examples, he has given us for us to understand. Balanam Sukha Bodhaya. So also in the Prarthana Shloka also says that Nidaya Hridi Vishvesham Vidaya Guru Vandanam Balanam Sukha Bodhaya. So for all of us to get to the Sukham, so the Sukham only happens with true knowledge, the trueness, whatever is the Satya Vishaya or the Nitya Vishaya and all those things. To get to the true point, you need to have a reasoning to come to the true conclusion. Any other ayatata nyayam is not going to give us the happiness. Thus ends the Tarka Sangraha. Kanada wrote the Vaisheshika. So then just to compare, there is another Nyaya Shastra by Gautama Rishi, which is before the Kanada Rishi, and that one talks about 16 Shodasa Padarthas. Although Kanada talks about 7, they are talking about 16 Padarthas, Gautama Rishis. They are like Pramana, Prameya, Samshaya, Prayojana, Drishtanta, Siddhanta, Vayava, Tarka, Nirnaya, Vada, Jalpa, Vitanda, Hetva, Vasa, Chalajati, Nigrahasthanana, Tattva Nishreya. So he's talking about the 16 Padarthas, but again, the 16 Padarthas include something like Vitanda, Jalpam, all these things are in the debate words. Then how can you say these are the Padarthas to get to the knowledge? Because all these things are also in Gautama's vision, all these things that he spoke about are also important to understand through the true definition of the knowledge. Even a Jalpa, even a Vitanda, or all these Tarkas, all those arguments you only come to the true knowledge. You arrive at a true knowledge. These are the hetus to get to the true knowledge. So that was Gautama's vision. But we went through the Kanada's vision of the 7 Sapta Padarthas, and Annambata Tarkasangraha text talks about the Sapta Padarthas, and that's the difference between Gautama and Gautama and Kanada. One talks about 7, another talks about 16. But both of them end point is Sukha Bodham. So Nishreyasaha Adhigamaha. So even Gautama talks about Nishreyasaha. Nishreyasaha means it's a ultimate realization, ultimate knowledge and bliss. That is what Gautama talks about it, and Kanada talks about the same Sukham iti. So with this, I conclude the Nyaya Shastram with my total offering to Way Jagat Gurus with their well wishes. Whatever mistakes I made, it's a lack of my understanding of the Shastram. Whatever I tried to convince you, whatever I tried to told you, and if you have some takeaways from here, please take it away. And I think we have to all go through this, understand the Shastras, and we'll have to work on the Nishreyas and get to that. That is our goal in our life. Let's pray for everybody's well wishes. Thank you, Dr. Jambunathan, Soma, Srini, and all the SVBF volunteers for giving me this opportunity. Namaste.
Padmanji, I hope you're not stopping here. You are continuing on something else. So
we will do that. Srinivasan, can you play the... All right.
मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के, शक्ति गणपति शारदाम्बिके शंकराचार्यर के, शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदाम्बिके के, काल भैरवर के, काली दुर्गै के, वीर हनुम मारुति चरणतिके, मल्लिकार्जुनर के, செல்வ ஜனார்தனர் के, अम्बा भवानी कंबद गणपति चंडी चामुंडी के, श्री कृष्ण भगवान के, श्री चक्रवासिनी के, सीता राम लक्ष्मण सहित मारुति चरणति के, विद्यारण्यर के, विद्याशंकर के, वागीश्वरी के, वज्रदेग गरुड़ आंजनेयर के, श्रीवल्ली देव सेना समेत सुब्रमण्यर के, तुंगभद्रै के, श्रृंगनिवासिनी के, श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிலைத்திருக்கும் எங்கள் சாரதாம்பிகைக்கே, सच्चिदानंद शिव अभिनव नृसिंह भारती के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु सार्वभौमर के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विद्यातीर्थर के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु भारती तीर्थर के, श्री चंद्रशेखर भारती गुरु विदुशेखर भारती के, मंगलम गुरु श्री चंद्रमौलीश्वर के, शक्ति गणपति शारदाम्बिक शंकराचार्यर के, शक्ति गणपति महागणपति शारदाம்பிகை के, श्रृंगेरी पुरिயில் நிறைந்திருக்கும் எங்கள் சாரதாம்பிகைக்கே.